3 with match split 1 and 1 apiece. We're going on a quick Macca's break, and then we'll send it over to the couch.
We don't believe in labels at Macca's, like dinner or breakfast, so we're getting rid of them. Now you can enjoy dinner or breakfast whenever you want it. McDonald's all-day menu, available 24/7.
And so we are now tied up at 1-1 apiece. Mammoth able to win that game on the red side in about 34 minutes, so slightly longer. But these games seem to be 30-ish minutes, Bryce. And that one, a little bit of an ugly game, I would say. Not pretty League of Legends anywhere.
Yeah, I was saying that to Jake upstairs. I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, we're really getting into like playoff League of Legends. You can see nerves are starting to like get into it. It's like ORD have a little bit of a lead. They're trying to force, like, there's a couple of plays here and there that you kind of see like a Jarvan flag into the wall. Unfortunately, just like barely missing with the Q to get away. There's some stuff happening. And it was a much messier game.
It certainly was. And a much different game from the outset because Champion Select was different this time around. Mammoth dropped their Lissandra ban, instead put a Rakan in there. I want to talk about Destiny. Normally known for his engaged supports, I would say the last 2 years, Alistair Rakan, his 2 best champions. Now banning them away from himself. What do you think that says about the series?
I absolutely love it. I think the Rakan ban instead of the list makes infinite sense. The fact that he is in that situation is by no choice of his own. I guarantee you, if you speak to him, he would want to be playing the Rakan into like a brawl matchup. That sounds very good, but as long as he is on red side versus ORD just banning Thresh Alistair, I think the Rakan ban makes tons of sense. I literally said in the post game of game 1, like, you need to remove that Xayah Rakan. It allows so much comfort for Dream whilst allowing Jake to have a champion that they have priority, and that's exactly what they did. They end up going for like a Kai'Sa Nami, and we'll touch on how it went. But the fact that they're willing to pick like the hard counter matchup in the bottom lane, I think is fundamentally important for this team to be able to beat ORD. I was saying, like, I think as long as ORD, if their bottom lane is beating King and Destiny, if Dream and Jake are like pushing them in, bullying them around bottom lane, like, I think Mammoth do not win this series. And they're willing to fight back, play the Nami into the Braum. Like you saw, they're literally getting ganked at level 2. Spooks knows exactly how that matchup goes. They want the Braum Q into like the flash. They get King's flash. It's not the Nami, but just trying to attack the lane early. Like ORD played around it early very good, but I really like the adaptations that Mammoth made into this game too.
Okay, now talk to me about ORD's adaptations. They took Spooks off the Urgot, put him on Lee Sin, something he's played a little bit of this split, and put Tally on the Urgot, removing the super tank in the Scion. Kind of a strange mix-up here for him because Tally did have a good game 1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was like a conscious decision like, oh, we can't play that thing again. I think they just kind of wanted to switch it up, play a different style. You know, like the Rise was locked in once again. The Silas made it through once again, but it looked much more manageable this time. I think like Mammoth have obviously shown they're comfortable in that regard, but yeah, ORD do switch it up, right? I feel like Spooks on the Lee Sin, very, very good early game into hard overforce, very rough for the rest of the game. Like as soon as he didn't translate the lead super effectively, I feel like he really fell off. And I feel like you could see visibly that he was getting fairly desperate.
So talk to me about it, right? Because ORD pick up first blood in the bottom lane after Spooks burns the flash. They get the teleport out very early from the Kai'Sa. They're still able to invade. Topoon goes for a teleport play into the bottom lane.
Walks
Looks
into
like
the
a disaster.
bush.
Has to burn his flash. Loses about 20 CS and a turret plays top lane. So Tally regains control of that lane after being behind. But Spooks just looked like he wanted to stay level 4 for a little bit too long for my liking in this game and kind of overforced his hand.
Because Babib looks at that play and he's like, look, I cannot match the Lee Sin bottom side. So he just takes his entire top side jungle, takes the crab, gets like the CS lead in the jungle is like 20 to 40 something at that point, and makes the right call to just take it. And he's like, bottom lane, you have to survive. But ORD are still sitting there trying to just hard force, brute force their lead, like then and now. And I think like that's what pressure does, because that's a pretty simplistic mistake. You see it with a lot of players like solo queue at home, whether it's pro level, whatever. It's like playing the game, all of a sudden I have an advantage, use it now. And it's like, no, if you wait 30 seconds for Lee Sin to have level 6, you come back, that Nami is 100% dead, right? And they just used it immediately, and like it didn't work out. And then Mammoth, like this is still the same sort of composition, but this time it clicked on. Like you have Topoon, he's on the rise this time. It isn't triple, but eventually you see Swiffer in the side lane. He dashes onto him, and Topoon just literally hits him in the face with like a couple of spells. He throws him back to Rune Prison, and like once they get to late game team fights, once they get to late game League of Legends, I feel like that is where Mammoth want to be. They've come into today And by looking at what they're drafting, they're like, we want to remove like the Hecarim, we want to remove like the weird stuff that is new. We want to play standard League of Legends from like 20 minutes onwards, and we think we're the better team. They got there in an even footing, and they looked like the better team.
Yeah, they certainly did, because I want to talk about the desperation that came out of Order, because a lot of this game looked like Mammoth just holding their 3-wave press into a 2-wave press later in the game, and Spooks looking for forces, Swiffer looking for forces without a stopwatch available, no death cap, Swiffer forcing in the bottom lane. That desperation out of the 2 most veteran members of the Order lineup, maybe not something I expected to see already in a game 2.
Yeah, absolutely, because like this is still early days. Now we're 1-1. It's like these 2 games couldn't have happened. We're on even footing. It's like back to the start. No, I'm actually fairly interested to see what Mammoth do select for side.
They've gone red side.
They've gone red side again. Okay, so we're going back to the same. Okay, interesting. But to like hit on your point, yeah, I feel like yes, it was weird to see, but like the flip side of the coin is Mammoth's bottom lane had a roughie. King's start of the game was appalling. Like he gets ganked, he blows his flash, and then like they just die straight up 2v2 to an Ezreal Braum, straight up disrespecting bottom lane level 2. Like that is fundamental stuff.
Yep.
But then he's been in so many finals. He's such a good player, completely turns that one around. You talk about like the desperation from Order. It's the complete opposite there from Mammoth, right? They do look cool, calm, collected, despite the fact that they're put behind. And he had like a phenomenal game on the Kai'Sa, like back-to-back. That's 2 games in a row. Honestly, I could see him just playing Kai'Sa the whole series. Like, this could be one of the things where like Order's bottom lane are whipping out the Tristana, the Ezreal, the Xayah, whatever. And he's like, man, I'll play Kai'Sa. I'll play Space Vayne, as Rusty like to call it. That makes sense. And yeah, it's interesting.
And a player I want to shout out, because we don't normally get to talk to him all that much, is Topoon. Twice going into tally, twice building up individual leads, trying to help the team around the map. You can tell that he's also a little bit jittery and nervous, but I think performed very well in that game and seems to like these scaling options going into the latter stages.
Yeah, because I mean, those comps do feel nice.
Yeah,
League of Legends,
you're never on a clock.
Yeah, League of Legends is tough when you're like, okay, I need to get something done now. Like, we need to go into mid game with a lead, otherwise we can't access Baron. We need to do this, this, and this to win. If your win condition is like, if they don't do this, this, and this, and we win, that's a weight off your shoulders. You just get to sit there, you get to play your game. Like, if they're not like forcing too hard, you just get to kind of like sit back as the passenger and do your thing. And yeah, as you mentioned, like he does look super comfortable.
Should Order be attacking him? That's my question. You've got Spooks and Tally going into Babip and Topoon, probably the 2 most inexperienced members of the team, into the 2 most experienced on Order's lineup. Tally's been playing since 2014, Spooks from even earlier than that. Should they be looking at trying to take Topoon out of this game?
Yes, but on blue side, they can't.
Okay.
I think this is now going to be the 3rd blue side game from Order.
Correct.
And they have to be like picking things for priority in the bottom lane, I feel, right? Like that's where they're expending like a decent amount of their resources. They take like if they get Sylas again, they're just going to first pick Sylas, and then Mammoth are going to like pick a counter pick. Like the Ryze looked fine, like in the matchup, the Zoe looked fine. They're like blue side is the eye blind strong flex champions, and the other team eventually gets the counter pick. Until we see a red side game from Order, I don't think they're going to be looking to attack Topoon. But if we do see it, I would like to see them go that route.
I kind of feel like it's time for Order to ban the Sylas and start first picking Ryze again. This is something that I kind of hinted at the end of last Champion Select. I think that we've seen that Tally is not going to be playing the Sylas today, that's going to be a Swiffer champion. I think that he can play it, but that game didn't get as much done as maybe you needed to, and kind of didn't look like he knew the limits in the champion. I think that maybe top lane Ryze is an answer in game number 3. If you give it to Tally, then all of a sudden he has a scaling option. Ryze Lee Sin, Ryze Urgot, those kinds of things do seem to see like free ganks. What I want to say, now that we're going into game 3, so you say it's almost like the first 2 games didn't happen. But they certainly did.
Yeah, they did.
And a meta is evolving of this grind out, team fight style League of Legends. Get priority, but we're not seeing flashy dives. We're not seeing massive plays. We're seeing respect given. What does that do going into game 3? How does this evolve further?
Well, I mean, like, does it just keep going down the rabbit hole? Because, like, we're not seeing, like, flashy dives, big team fights around an Infernal Dragon first spawn. First of all, because we're getting, like, triple air drakes. So, like, come on, Riot Games.
Spooks,
we can.
By the way, I get told that I don't call out Order players enough. So,
no.
Spooks, that steal on the air drake was appalling.
That was...
If you ever spend your ultimate flash...
And your life, he died.
And your life for an air drake ever again, we're
like
having
30,
words.
30 minutes, but... Yeah, it's because of the matchups. It's not like this is our blind pick Scion and we're like playing just like a hard carry, like I want to like pummel this guy into the ground. It's like Scion, let's take a cannon and wait. It's give them silence, let's take the Rise and wait.
Yep.
So, like, do we see more of that? I could see it, because it's almost like a big, like a broader conversation.
Because like
that's how
Aurelia, Akali, all these champions right now are being played internationally.
Claire played Akali last week.
Claire played it, and they are much faster champions. And they just seem to not have any priority on this series so far. And that's interesting to me. Like, Galio, much faster champion than a lot of the supports we're seeing play.
Taunt Flash in lane is like, you have to take cleanse.
Absolutely, but not being seen in this series. It seems that the handshake is very strong between these two teams.
Because like, for an analogy, it's like support matters for me, right? Like you have the tanks, and then so all of a sudden people playing Morgana. People playing Morgana, so people are playing Nami, and the rage just gets bigger. It's like Soraka, and then like Sona comes in, Zyra, MF, and then someone's like, Zyra? I want a bloody Alistar. And then, like, you know what I mean? Somebody's just like, everyone's going down the slow handshake, and someone's like, absolutely not.
Yeah, I refuse.
So, like, yeah, this could be, like, game 3. Like, this is the swing point. All of a sudden, who wins this is on match point. So, like, this isn't match point, but it's arguably more important for, like, momentum, for pressure, right? But this could be the game where, like, someone just looks at the handshakes that are happening and just takes something out of left field. That would be very cool.
And if you were going to give an area of the map to watch, like this area, if it swings in Order side or Mammoth side, will win game number 3. Where should viewers be looking to going into this one?
That's a difficult one, because I do think the map hinges on bottom lane. I think a lot of this map hinges on bottom lane, because the other, like, because at the moment everybody else is handshaking.
Yep.
Right? I think like the mid lane matchups are just like nothing matchups. They're just sitting there, floating priority, yada yada. Top lane is exactly the same. Like, the interesting stuff that is happening is literally between like almost a rookie in Dream, Jake, and like OPL champions of the past in King of Destiny. And I still think like that's where my eyes are going more often than not.
There you go. The support main wants to look at support for some reason. However, we are ready for Champion Select. Let's throw it over to Pyra and another support main in Rusty.
I'd look there too.
Yeah, why not?
It's a pretty good reason.
All right. Let's back to them. Back to us. What's going on? We're about ready for champion selection, so we're getting into it. Game number 3. It's become a best of 3 now, Rusty. That's what's happened here.
Yes, with 2 games of things that will change the games in terms of draft and play style for sure. And, you know, the Catch has mentioned this in pretty great detail already. There is one consideration that's Spawn raised. I think there are alternatives to it, but I'm curious to see where they go. And that is, do Order ban Silas to pick the Rise? Or do they ban the Rise so that Silas can go top? Is the other option there, the other alternative that they have? Because really, and the reason that I bring this up is Order are banning Alistar when they have one of the most prolific Morgana players in the entire region who's had a ban from him when it wasn't meta.
Yeah, bit of a questionable decision for sure. Now let's see what changes in this draft, because right now it's very reminiscent of the first 2, the Kayle Hecarim, the Lucian, the Thresh. The Alistar stays on the ban. Order have played 3 blue side games in a row now, one of which they chose, and they've done the exact same bans every time.
And I don't think that in game number 3, when both teams have had a victory, there is stubbornness by any means. But if it goes 2-1 down and you continue with the same bans, then we may have a problem there with the trend. However, in this draft phase so far, we've seen Swiffer with 2 Silas games. We usually see the Rise in response with the Jarvan. This part of the draft has been fairly predictable from both teams. But the Silas can go top lane. They can still change the way that these champions that are being picked are being played.
Well, there's still about 8 seconds left to decide, but should be no surprise here to see the Jarvan gracing your screens right now, and Mammoth will let it run all the way down to the final second before getting the actual lock-in, and the Rise should follow.
Should follow. Of course, it's just one of the strongest picks into someone like the Silas.
Well, Tapoon had a pretty, admirable game managing it. He did split push Tally on the Urgot. I don't think Order will necessarily be trying to make that same play happen again. If they do pick up the Urgot, maybe it will be in Spook's hands like it was in game number 1. And that's an early Kai'Sa lock-in, so Mammoth realizing maybe that they want that instead.
Egypt may be on the money here, and that King just wants to play Kai'Sa.
I mean, it is
series
by far
long.
His most played champion. You look at King's champions in this OPL split, and it's like the only double digits by a wide margin is the Kai'Sa. 11 picks in the regular split. He obviously played it a few more times today. And then Lucian was like the next most, and that's only when it got let through. So Order for their side, they will lock the Morgana for Jake, and they pair it with the Xayah for Dream. Now, I believe this is something they've done before on the side of Order, but it's been some time.
And they're also doing it blind, so they've picked the Morgana with no knowledge of where their opponent's support will be playing, or with champions that are available, and there are still enchanters there. So some of the picks have been mentioned. Nami is one of those options. Soraka's actually notoriously very good into Morgana, at least in the laning phase. It does make life hell. However, if you pick Soraka when they have a Sylas, he's just going to walk up to you and have a better version of your ultimate. So perhaps denies that when you look at the difference in drafts here.
Yeah. Another thing that's scary, though, for Order's lineup is the fact that Triple gets his hands on the Zoe again. They opt to take that rather than getting a support. And
the second bans have changed here as well.
This is a little different. Yeah, look at that. LeBlanc and Lissandra banned by Triple, by the way. Those are his other most played champions because he's already got a lock-in of the Zoe. And then Order banned Darius. So do you think that this signals the fact that Tally's going to take something different? I mean, apart from the fact that he's not played Sylas once yet.
I mean, this does give an inclination that it may be a top lane Sylas this time around. So there's always a world where Morgana could even perhaps go to mid lane for someone like Swiffy. You never know. We'll see how it pans out. Of course, he knows his matchup. As we await the pick, potentially in the support role, of Mammoth.
Switching it up.
Better.
All right, so Destiny goes over to the Nami once again for Destiny. He's playing with this for just a second.
I'm sure King just loves having enchanter supports in the meta as well because it empowers him. Yeah. Gets to be the center of attention with damage dealing as well. Is always nice to have, as that was a no hesitation Orianna. Is going to be locked in for mid lane matchup, and I really do like the Orianna into the Zoe.
Yeah, and you know, they have a couple of champions that can close some distance for the ball delivery system. I'm definitely keeping my eye on the Sylas here, so that will be the top lane. And as Zac is picked up by Spooks, and that adds a whole lot more.
Now that is the combo. There is the Zac locked in with it. Of course, the other combo that you often see with the Zac is the Yasuo. If you double pick that one in on blue side. Now that was possible for Order, but Swift is more of an Ori guy, and that's just a Cho'Gath.
What?
Which is, you know,
all right, Tapun Cho.
That's cool, man.
I mean, he's also given Tally a true damage ult.
Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen this at home, but Sylas could steal Cho'Gath's ultimate. He gains the health and the size. So you can have a
giant
big boy Sylas running around on the Rift.
We're talking like, this is going to turn into like a monster movie. Just a giant Sylas.
It's just going to be, it's like Power Rangers level, you know?
That's crazy.
Both top laners are just leveling up size slowly.
And the best part is it's like a giant dude, which you can think about as like a mech, and then you have Cho'Gath, which is the giant monster. So it's going to be like a full-on like kaiju fight up there.
I did not expect the Cho'Gath pick. Cho'Gath has a whole lot of damage, right?
I don't think we've seen a Cho'Gath in the OPL this split. That is a real shocker. He does have heaps of damage, though. So talk to me about what this Mammoth comp wants to do.
So Mammoth have picked themselves, I think, a lot of comfort stuff for them overall. Their bot lane, the Kai'Sa Nami again, they knew the matchup, so they picked pretty comfortably into that one. They prioritized triple Zoe as well and banned things that counter them. And it's mostly similar to last game. You know, what happened last game with Topoon was that he was a Rise, he just had a good time, he existed, and he was against an Urgot who did a very similar thing. They didn't really do anything up in that top lane. This time, if they get into the fray, they've got Topoon, who you would assume will be a dedicated tank champion. I look forward to seeing his Keystone rune if he goes for the Conqueror or something of the likes, perhaps, because, you know, when the first changes to Conqueror came out, Cho'Gath was one of the champions that I actually did play, and it was really good into tanks. Like, you get procs off pretty easily, and it really does do some damage, and you heal for 10% of the damage you deal, and your ultimate actually does a lot of damage. Am I right? I'm right.
You're right.
I'm right.
And you know what else is right? We're going to have a real spicy top lane matchup this time around. Game 3 here in the McDonald's Gauntlet Series, the first round. And it's already gone 1-1 apiece, and the teams have started to shift things up a little bit. I'm excited as all heck to see what's going to happen here, Rusty.
I'm just super pumped to see a big Cho'Gath. Mid lane as well, we've got the Orianna picked into Zoe. One of the reasons that Orianna is so nice into Zoe is that you've got a pretty much guaranteed ultimate placement. You can throw your ball down in a straight line, so if Zoe ever threatens to hit you, you can just QW past her, hit the Q for certain, W will go on. If you throw ult, she has to real flash. So locks her down, almost forces summoner spells, and is really good for lane trades. And they've got the Zac for the mid to late game combo for it as well. One thing that does tend to throw a spanner in the works here will be the Cho'Gath silence on his Scream.
That is a very valuable thing here. And
nice.
Dark Binding comes in onto Destiny. Already starting things off with a little extra damage. Ignite was burned by Destiny just to try and deter the damage from Dream. You know, speaking of the Morgana, we have seen it a handful of times since the changes. You want to talk to me a little bit more about, you know, what has changed? I know a lot of it's in the ultimate.
I mean, quite simply, Morgana is just stronger because her ultimate gives movement speed, scaling up to a pretty ridiculous amount of movement speed as well on activation of the ultimate. A lot of Morganas, when they were played in the support role, would go something like the Talisman, Shirelia's, whatever it is now, to try and keep up to hit the ultimate, because it's more important that you stun than that you stay alive when you're a support Morgana. But because now that is built into her kit, you can just rush the Zonias and have a pretty comfortable time on the Rift.
Yeah. It's also more intimidating now. You see the visual changes. She's always got her hands up like she's about ready to throw them.
Yeah, that and of course the Q hitbox is just incredibly broken, if you ask me, and shouldn't exist on the map at all, as he throws the Q for the reference just to keep the minions where they were.
So, standard start to the game. You saw that there was potential for shenanigans there as Tally had sat himself in the bottom brush, but he moves out of that immediately. Babip on level 2, wanders over a ward. It's all about that scuttle control, but nobody there to contest him here. Spook's going to be going for that power farm early on the Zac.
Just having a look at Cho'Gath's stats. Has been played twice in major regions around the world. Hortzer and Vizichachi.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear Vizichachi is
would
one of them, to be
definitely,
honest. He's an old-school Cho'Gath player. Babip level 3 now steps into Swiffer's territory.
Just
Gives
go
him
and
a wide
scuttle,
berth.
scuttle to scuttle. Don't be surprised in this day and age if you just see junglers walk through mid. Legitimately just wander through, just passing by, wait for a mate, go to the bot lane, scuttle crab. But
Still have to respect it as the enemy mid laner, though.
absolutely. It just means you've got to be much more vigilant because they're not looking for ganks, but if you overstep your bounds, not remembering that he'll be passing through, then you could be in a whole lot of trouble.
Definitely something important to remember. I want to see how this bottom lane matchup plays out a little bit differently, because the last 2 games in a row, there was so much pressure on it from Order, and that was also enabled by the fact that Order had picked up early game junglers. But Spooks, now, we're going to be waiting on a window for Zac to really be getting into the action, and he's actually moved up towards the top side early on.
We saw Zac from Spooks in the last week of the OPL regular season where he had an outstanding game as well, ganking before usual spikes and gank timers come out from the Zac. So level 3 he's hunting, level 4 he was getting ganks, and it really did snowball them out of control. So he's obviously very comfortable on the pick as well, one of his best champions, no doubt. I am excited to see how this one does go, because the Gauntlet really has been thrown by Order regarding their draft. They have just put the Zac Orianna combo in and said, let's force the team fights and try and really press the tempo of the game.
I like it from Order. It's a bold call for them. You've got to lay it out on the line. Remember the stakes for these teams. Remember how they got here. Order, barely sneaking in. They had such a rough ride, especially in the middle of the split when they lost so many games in a row.
He's gone Conqueror. Yeah, sorry, he's gone Grasp.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to wonder what you were talking about, but I'd seen the Conqueror not present, and it's a little bit all about the lane sustain, which I feel like Cho'Gath still maybe has a bit of a roughie in the laning phase.
I mean, look at his items.
Yeah.
That says it all.
Yep.
Of course, that could be an
Negatron
Abyssal
Cloak.
Mask. It could be a Wit's End. I know which I would prefer, but I know which one he'll go. I'll leave you guys at home to work that one out yourself.
I like that you leave the viewers' puzzles, Rusty.
Well, you never know.
Quiz
Am I a cheeser or are you cheesers?
I think cheese is relative, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But for pushing the minion wave into the mid. It's been a much quieter game already. Both teams kind of calming down just a little bit. Dream and Jake do have the push here. Remember, early on, that Ignite had already been burned by Destiny, but it's already back up. And Dream steps just outside the bubble range.
Yeah, and actually, speaking towards that Ignite, I really liked that from Destiny. You don't often get to see people just use Ignite for the sake of damage. But if you're playing Kai'Sa Nami and you've got sustain over your opponents and you're trading at level 1, just put as much damage down as you possibly can, because you will sustain through it.
Certainly the case. Nothing worth mentioning about, as Babip gets caught for second flags and drags away from Spooks and Swiffer, is that Black Shield is going to be so useful to negate some of the bubble effects. And this is why the Morgana is such a powerful pick into other enchanters, it seems.
There's a lot that it is useful for. However, there is still a lot that will hit if a team fight happens. Jarvan's AoE, Zoe has AoE. The bubble, of course, is actually really nice. And one other thing that does make Morgana incredibly powerful, of course Zoe was picked into it, is that you can actually get rid of the drowsy and the sleep with the Black Shield.
Yeah.
So you'll have a pretty good time, where I don't think it used to be the case, but
I
it
think
now
they did make the
definitely
change.
is.
Yeah, you have it. You see it coming already, and insta cleanse out of King as Jake nails him with a Dark Binding, and that's why you take the cleanse. No teleport on either bottom laner this time around.
But a lot of the team for Mammoth does still have AoE, so that Black Shield isn't going to be the be-all, end-all. but still has got its strengths, has definitely got its niche power in there, and is just a strong pick for Jake in particular. It has been banned away from him through the regular season for just his ability on the champion alone.
That's fair. First dragon started out here by Mammoth. It's going to be the Ocean. That's not going to be too bad for Order because it's a little harder for them to contest it pre-level 6 on the Zac.
That's really bad for Order because it's an Ocean Dragon at 6.5 minutes into the game. The sustain you get, the earlier you get that Ocean Dragon, the more money that it actually is worth. You know, the more value that it has through that lane sustain.
Okay.
The ability to be a Nami now and be able to have 3 points in your W, one of the biggest inhibitors of Nami is mana costs. You now have more mana sustain. You know, you get 1, maybe up to 5 extra Ws off, depending on how long you're in lane for. That's a lot. That really does add up.
Yeah, that's true. A bit of compounding there, so okay. Misspoken a little bit on that one. Game looks even in the gold, but Mammoth do have that dragon in their pockets. Now the question is, where is the first move going to happen? Because we've yet to get that first blood. However, Triple looking to make it happen in the mid lane, but in the Orianna, a little harder to get those big shots off, especially early on when they're both just rocking a Lost Chapter.
Yeah, lots of sustain, though, from both of them if they're level 7 with their Lost Chapters, so they'll be able to level up while staying in lane. So you will see a whole lot more of their spells just being pelted at minion waves to try and keep that mid lane priority, if nothing else, matched, so that when your opponent leaves, you are more than able yourself. And that's where most of the battles really do come through mid-jungle is, can you clear waves successfully and instantly in mid lane, disappear and get vision control with your team?
Rusty, I'm going to make a bold prediction about this game.
Go ahead.
It is going to be slower than the first two.
What makes you feel that way?
There's no first blood, and you got scaling.
I have a feeling that it will ramp faster, though.
It might.
If Order get a lead and they've got a Zoe, Zac, and even the addition of a Cho'Gath, like ultimate available from Tally, I have a feeling they'll start to snowball pretty out of control fast. But at this stage, you're correct. It's going to be a bit of a lull, bit of a slow-paced game as Spooks has heard us.
And here he goes. Oh, he just scares King and Destiny away, but Babbitt was already in the area. That's a bit of a non-starter there.
Yeah, just not able to reach them. Level 7 Zac would be able to. That's the real tragedy for Spooks, is every level he gets a bit of extra strength.
Bit extra stretchy. Swiffer once again pushing.
Just
Nobody's
more
really been able to
flex.
knock down much in the way of turret plates either in this game. Just Triple stepping forward. Swiffer just doesn't need to worry too much about the burst damage. The shield's certainly helping out a lot with this Orianna.
He's actually pretty well in control of this middle lane, having the Corrupting Potion and Biscuits in comparison to Triple. So, in a pretty comfy position as here we
He's got
go.
a CS lead as well.
Now
There's
the real
seal.
question is, how big can Tally be?
That's the question, indeed.
It's
I
Scuttle
think he's going to go
crab
for
time.
Scuttle. So there's the hors d'oeuvres of the feast. Meanwhile, Babbitt will help Triple out on the blue buff.
I really hope that Silas says om nom nom while he... I
I
don't
always
know if
wonder
there's
about that.
audio effects.
There's got to be so much that goes into coding Silas's ultimate usage compared to every other champion in the game because you have to account for everything.
I feel like one of the cooler little Easter eggs would be he says the voice animation of Cho'Gath depending on the skin. So if you're against the Gentleman Cho'Gath, it actually does say om nom nom.
That would be next level. Super good attention to detail if that's the case. We want to keep an eye on it just in case. He might say it. I doubt he says om nom nom.
I would say.
Not in this skin anyways. It's actually the Battlecast Cho'Gath, which is also pretty cool because he's got speakers built into his shoulders. Ooh, Dark Binding, Bubble, steps up with the ultimate. Destiny's going to flash away from the feathers quickly.
That was a really nice flash from Destiny. Swiffer in trouble.
Yeah, he's caught out. There's the flash, and he goes golden. Babbitt taking tower shots, but it's too easy for Triple and Babbitt to still finish the job. Pokes him in the back of the head. Meanwhile, Destiny taking a lot of damage on the bottom side due to the Ignite from Jake. Dream had also healed, so the fight kept going bottom side while the 2v1 happened mid.
Yeah, flash is available for Order still, though, so just being aggressive, perhaps posturing themselves more forward for certain as we now go towards the peaceful area of the map in top lane as we have just some farming happening up here, but lots of action in mid lane. Note that Swiffer kept his shockwave the entire time, didn't have the ability to use his cleanse in anything. It's a Jarvan ultimate that locked him in place, and from that just dies and chooses to save the ultimate. So we'll have it if Spooks wants to come mid, but no flash puts a really big target above his head for a Jarvan next time that ult is available.
Looks like Spooks might want to help Swiffer get a bit of revenge here as he steps up into this middle river brush, but it's going to be hard to gank a Zoe. However, he steps very far forward, burns the flash immediately as Destiny was coming up to help.
Yeah, has to burn his real flash pretty much instantly for sure. Destiny will keep him back up to full health, but even if the Nami was there, you'd have to be afraid of the damage that comes out of the Zac and the Orianna combined this early into the game.
We got your answer, by the way, Rusty,
ward.
for Tapoon's first item buy. It is, in fact, the
Abyssal
mask coming
Mask.
in, yeah.
They're the expected route.
Triple on top of Spooks. Gets that Ignite from the Spell Thieves. It's free damage.
If you're a Zac and you're feeling that kind of damage from Zoe, she's making you feel that kind of way, then you're not in the best positions at this point, but it's all about getting the ultimate off. And that's what you're really looking for him, is he is in between items. Not going to be able to build magic resistance until at least the Cinder Hulk is completed.
Long range binding. No follow-up available from Dream, but doesn't seem to matter too much. Jake can just fire those off on the cooldown if he really wants. And really, the game, the lead, about 800 in favor of Mammoth. A lot of that being made up by the first blood, however. In order, still sticking around for a play. Babbitt checks into Spooks and does a double take.
There's a level advantage, but Spooks has Swiffer in his pocket, so...
Oh, and he's got Goo. Got stuck with the honey.
They don't want to clear the ward, though. Not confident. Mammoth retained vision control. Is that on?
Hello. Talked about Peaceful a minute ago. I don't know about that anymore. It's level 9 versus level 10. Tapoon still has his Feast. Tally does not have Tapoon's ultimate. Swiffer going to be forced to Shockwave on top of himself, but triple dodges it easy enough, and here comes the slingshot in, but Spooks is a little bit late to this party as Swiffer's going to die in the cage again.
Yeah, really tragic stuff there for Swiffer, and this all comes back to not having the flash initially. The second that's not available, he is just going to be the focus. Mammoth will always play towards this area as but
Destiny is going to get caught out. Bubble comes up, and there is once more the ultimate. However, a teleport on the minion already at the turret. They're going to knock down and lock down Tapoon here. Maybe they can take down the Cho'Gath, and it looks like the Zac ultimate's bringing King in. So Spooks gets one. They're flashing forward. Tally going for two. Wants to steal that ultimate, but won't have it in time. Instead, it's a 4-on-1, and he almost eats Spooks, but Spooks manages to eke himself away, and Mammoth looking to come in for some revenge.
Triple maybe going to use the walls to try and bubble. Looks like they're just going to catch the wave in the end, so they won't go for any kind of return fight. Dragon should actually be on the menu here. They should be able to feast on that one and still look towards a pretty confident position as an outcome of that. However, Order making the plays, getting the kills, very relevant to the outcome of this game. They are starting to get some strengths through their AD carry and through Spooks on the Zac, which is incredibly crucial.
Spooks is actually going to go in.
He
kind of has a little bit of a drive-by, tries to get the smite mid-flight, but he misses it.
I respect that. He tried to pull off the smite.
It's a hell of a lot safer than what he did last game, trying to steal it with the Lee Sin.
Yeah, you can't be yelled at for that one, though he did just give them a leash, so I'm sure Mammoth will say thank you for that one.
That's one of those plays, though, where if it works out, you're just an absolute legend.
If you weren't spotted on vision and you're able to make that play, for sure. Mammoth unfortunately had a single ward in the area. As Tally, if he uses E, I feel like may get traded on.
Uh-oh, Tally could be in some trouble. And King reveals himself. Destiny coming through as the lane swap is there. He dodges out the bubble. Nicely done, and that might have just saved his life.
He was even hunting there for Destiny if the second part of the chains had actually hit. Not going to be found. So he'll just disengage. There's a lot of levels between the support and the top laner on both of these teams right now.
And he finds Destiny this time. Babbitt's there as well, and he does not care one bit, but there's the stopwatch popped, and now Tally turns his attention over to Babbitt as Destiny's already popped out of there, and Swiffer coming to join him.
Still going.
To put the ball on top as Babbitt flags and drags away. Tally is a very scary top laner.
3 people come towards Tally, and he says, you're going to need 4 to try and keep me away, as they're going to get the bot lane turret during all of this. Lots of focus from Mammoth went on to the swapping of lanes. And once again, they're going to redirect all of their attention to the Herald. The second bot lane falls. There's almost a rhythm in this series.
Clockwork in this Gauntlet series is that Order takes the bot tower for first brick, and Mammoth immediately responds with a Rift Herald. Tally steps in, but he's a little bit late to get anything done here. Babbitt will be able to pick it up, but he might get interrupted. He's stuck in the back of the pit there. Tally does a great job and forces the flash out of the jungler from Mammoth. Meanwhile, Swiffer on top of Triple. He walks away from the knock-up. The Rupture not going to land on top of him, and all of a sudden, Order are playing with some confidence, springing their step.
It feels like a lot of these movements have been just for pressure, as a good spell shield, of course, will deter the Sleepy Trouble Bubble from...
that is why you have it.
Yep. It's secretly no-dose. So not going to get put to sleep this time around, but ultimates and summoner spells, and honestly everything and the kitchen sink are being used just to threaten health bars, not necessarily for guaranteed kills, just to kind of try and push people away. That results in a shockwave used, flashes used by Jarvan as well, and turrets are still starting to drop and objectives are still falling as a result of those trades.
So Mammoth get the gold lead back, courtesy of the equalizing on towers here, but Order have a little bit more map control throughout this mid lane. See what they can do with it. But it's been a very interesting turn of events the last couple of minutes. Good trades all around.
Yeah, Order are actually hovering pretty hard around mid lane right now, and Rift Herald is probably going to be used in this area. With the top lane outer turret gone, you'll expect Mammoth to actually plant themselves either bottom or mid with their duo lane, and the fact that they're going mid is an indicator that they will be looking towards Herald in mid lane soon. But that does mean that Triple is stuck top lane with Swiffer, neither of them able to teleport, neither of them able to impact. However, I would rather be the Orianna in this case, as Zach can close distances pretty well.
Yeah, it's like you said, if you are a Zoe who wants to delete people, the last thing you want is to be stuck on a side lane where you have limited target chances, especially if one of those is
Yeah,
the
but the feeling is reciprocated in this game, right? Both being control mages. Neither of them will be safe in a side lane. Junglers can just go there, and you'll note that during the time that Triple is clearing waves, Babip is hovering, is protecting his mid laner, and will now come to mid to protect, ideally as the wave crashes, because it's not safe. But Order, they don't do the same thing. They prioritize bot side vision control. Swiffer is unsafe when he clears the wave, and so they get the turret through that vision.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble does land onto the Morgana, but once again, Jake can deny it, and this significantly reduces the impact of Triple in this game. The fact that he can't just set him up and knock him down as easily. Spook's waiting behind a Raptor Pit. Nothing doing by Mammoth.
Swiffer level 11 means 2 points in the shockwave with a complete item, so he's really starting to rack up damage just from levels alone. The vision dance is the biggest dance right now. It's
a big dance for sure.
Very hard to articulate in English, apparently, what just happened to Swiffer's health bar.
When it starts getting popped in. Ooh, Jake, down already to half his health, like you said. You can negate the effects, but you can't always negate the damage! Oh! That was dirty.
Destiny actually has a bit of a dance. Herald summon turret will drop unless Spooks goes.
And Spooks goes in trying to find one at least. He does pull in Babip, who immediately pops his own stopwatch in now with Shelly making quick work of this turret. She'll get one more charge in unless Dream and Swiffer can stop her, and it looks like they can.
And you can see how scary it is, the Zac with the shockwave. The combo's possible, and Mammoth, they put so much respect onto that. They don't get shockwave, but it isn't even used by Swiffer, still saving it again. As the support dies, so does the turret, and Mammoth bounce back. 2-0-1 Zoe. Pyra is going to be a monster.
Yeah, she's still only sitting on one item in a book as well. A little bit of light reading for her maybe. And now another dragon taken by Mammoth. This one another ocean for the regeneration.
He gets a feast as well.
No one's going to have any sort of problems with mana on that Mammoth side.
Oh, how big is Silas?
Let's take a look and check back in with him. He's on the bottom side of the map.
We'll
see him in a minute maybe. Tapoon's starting to get a little bigger.
They're both huge.
Yeah.
That's the biggest Silas. Oh, he's even bigger.
Yeah, he's got a feast.
So I believe he suffers from similar effects to Cho'Gath. When you tick 11 and 16, you actually grow in size. Like, because levels in the old actually
He's just stomping around. Look at him.
That is a big boy.
Whips his chains.
He's just got so much hitbox.
I like how the chains get bigger too. So like
well, they are a part of his living organism, apparently.
Yeah, they are.
It's don't ask how.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We're going to get ourselves a giant monster battle soon enough.
It's just exciting.
Yeah.
Zac also grows with health. Oh, this is just a big game.
Look at how small Spooks is by comparison. He's just a little blob.
He's just massive. Cameramen are trolling us right now.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, I mean, he's talking about it. He does have a pretty hefty CS lead, actually, too, talking about Tally. He's been keeping pace well with Tapoon in this game. Still, though, Mammoth controlling the map, trying to do what they can. Vision still in favor of Order around this Baron Pit as it's now gone live.
Yeah, definitely. Baron's a point of focus for sure. Scuttlecrab still belonging to Order, however, so they'll see even Triple running topside. So expect Order to try and force priority in mid lane right now as Swiffer's just picked up his blue buff. His damage is amplified. And
Black Shield onto Dream immediately without hesitation. However, from the opposite side, Spooks decides to not hop in.
This is where it gets real tense. This is where the team fights are possible at any given moment. Triple and Mammoth, they want to poke first if they can help it. Order, if they find the elastic slingshot, will go.
And they have one shot onto Babip. He can flag and drag away, and he will over the wall. A little bit of heals from Destiny as well. And now you can see both top laners are kind of tag teaming to go and push or clear waves. Both have teleport available.
And anytime you hear Flex Armstrong just making some noises like he's at the gym, he's getting ready to team fight, and you'll see all of Order posture aggressively. And that's the gamble that Mammoth is stuck with. You know, if Dream and Jake start really coming at your face, you're like, oh, oh, they're very aggressive. There's got to have a Zac nearby, and sometimes they may not. So they can actually feign aggression. They can be super forward if they like, and it is a gamble, of course, that can bite them, but they have got that capability. And that does actually buy you a lot of priority in certain lanes at times.
Oh, Jake's caught. Black Shield on, about to run out. Oh, has to get the point-blank binding, and he dodges the Rupture as well. That could have been bad.
But it's been really good vision control at the moment from both teams. There's triple.
And spends the ultimate. Spooks doesn't find his mark onto triple.
And that's using vision to make the plays, right? Zac has got long distance that he can engage. Triple, Mammoth really want to find vision control in their advantage so they can bubble someone, so they can set up the map more successfully. Zac isn't ever going to be the target for a Sleepy Trouble bubble, ideally. So if he is invisible, Triple, he will actually start finding priority targets and get those E's off and force spells out of their opponents. But until that point, Spooks is just going to be a tank. Expect him to just rush a bunch of magic resistance, get a Warmogs as well, and just soak it up.
Oh boy, Spooks is stepping forward. Sleepy Trouble bubble does land, but it doesn't matter. The Black Shield's on and Triple. This is the weakness of the side lane, and Order moving themselves to Baron.
And that's honestly just really great foresight from Order. They predict where Triple is going to be. They know he was walking that general direction. As they have started this Baron buff, no mid laner for Mammoth. This does hurt them, but they are here. This will be a 4v5.
Yeah,
I think Order want to turn.
Feast. There is Babbitt's Smite to contend with. I think Order do want the fight after all. Here comes the channel. Spooks, he does cut off Tapoon for the rest of the fight. However, he's going to get chunked down into Bloblets before he can really do much of anything. And Tally puts Tapoon in a cage, and they finally shred his health bar down. It took so many feathers from Dream.
Swiffer!
Shockwave doesn't land. King turns around. Swiffer, so much damage on the opposite side. That's the double kill. And Mammoth sense that they can take the fight to turn it around. Babbitt gets the dunk on King. Flashing outside the pit. This is so close. It's turned around. Tally with the chains once more. Jake gets him locked up. The double kill. Going for the triple. Destiny's flashed away. And the binding is not going to land, but while Destiny floats out of this one, what a knockdown, drag-out fight.
But think about how close that was, Pyro, and that was a 4v5. There was no triple for the entire time. Big moments, big plays coming out of individual respective members of both teams. You know, the fact that they're able to just kill Spooks instantly and they trade tank for tank. And then in the chaos that ensues, Swiffer getting so swept up in the pressure, this could have been even better for Order if they were able to perhaps find some more patience, more discipline in the fight. And you'll see it here from Swiffer. He's looking to predict, but it is so hard to predict like that. And really good reactions, of course, coming out of King. So he's just a land of the slaughter. Cleanse comes in early here from King to get out of the binding, to ult into the fight, and he probably wishes he had that cleanse through the back half of this as Jake, binding after binding, locking them down time and again, but so was Dream.
And the fight is on again. They're hunting for triple Spooks. There's the Shockwave. It does pull him in only onto one member, but they do the job and take him down. Tapoon teleporting in. Does not land the Rupture onto anyone, and we're right back to square one, Rusty.
And compositionally, it is not a good day to be a Zoe. That much is known. But that's why we continue to speak about vision control and lane priority, because if Zoe's free to hit, it's actually fine. But you're against an Orianna and a Zac, who will stand and deliver every time you try and press up for control. And that is what is happening right now.
The Black Shield also helping to negate some of the effects here. However, while the Dragon falls, this time Order finally get a mountain for themselves. Bama take the opportunity to at least clear vision inside the Baron pit, but Order have that map control, have the prio you're talking about.
Silas.
He's a beefy boy. He certainly is not skipping any days at the gym.
He's basically at the gym permanently with those chains and the size of those around his arms right now as well.
He can't drop them like Rock Lee. He's always in training mode.
He is.
Imagine how fast and strong he would be without them. He'd have different abilities too, because all of his abilities are chain-based.
That's very true. He needs those, actually.
He kind of does.
Goal differences right now between them as well. Dream's having another very good game for himself. You would actually say that Dream so far in this set has been playing incredibly well. Dream and Jake overall have been quite good.
Yeah. Oh, Babbitt stepping on to Jake, speaking of. Yeah, Jake, you know, a longer time player in the OPL predominantly for Avant Gaming, but we didn't really see him in too many of these postseason bouts. For Dream, who has never been in a Gauntlet before, it's massive to see how good his performance has been. Above and beyond, really.
Certainly, and of course, in stark contrast right now is Tapoon, the only other rookie left in this best of 5. 0-2 on the Cho'Gath is honestly, in my opinion, the Cho'Gath pick is hard countered by your opponent being a better version of Cho'Gath. This is a similar train of thinking to, you know, Silas being left up and available and picking Lissandra into it. You can hold the Silas in place, you know, like you do a similar function to the Silas, but he's still a priority champion that just gets your ultimate.
And they picked this into the Silas
Yes.
as well. So that is always a little bit questionable. However, the game is still around this mid lane. Everybody's here. No teleport. Shockwave does pull in and take down Destiny. Real quick, though, it's turned on to Spooks once more as he flashes. Does not get taken down. So close, though, as now they turn into Mammoth, and that is a big old tally on top of him. The double kill comes in for Dream. No smite available, but Order, they do not have a very healthy jungler, so they can't afford to start the Baron up just yet.
They will still hover around the area, clear vision, and potentially they will start it in the next 10 seconds if Mammoth die trying to check or stop it. They have hit the Baron. Zac is sprinting down as well. And Tally has so much HP from the Cho'Gath ultimate, 6 stacks on it, that he's able to stand here for at least a little while, but they need the Zac.
There's the cleanse burned by Swiffer. It looks like they might want to try and turn triple. Steps in, takes a chunk of damage. Ruptures popping, Tally dodging.
It's
and
a
now
2K
Mammoth.
Though.
This is within the danger range.
Cho'Gath
They
has
know that
flash and
Cho'Gath
feast.
can flash in. Tally trying to turn him back. Order indecisive here. They need to turn the fight, or they need to take the Baron, and it's going to be smited in. And meanwhile, it looks like they can take him down anyways. Tapoon does get Swiffer, but this is the best of both worlds for Order.
And they just are so close to getting it, Mammoth, but Tapoon's not able to outsmite the Zac, it seems, and too much damage comes in from Order. So with synchronizing damage, you have to give them credit for making it work, because they managed to outsmite someone that does more damage than Spooks.
Man, it's a rough day to be a mid laner, I think, on either team right now, because Swiffer just gets popped down and loses onto the Baron buff.
He sacrificed himself to
it's
try and
fine.
stop him from getting in, though. And if we do see that Baron take, you'll note that he is in the back of the pit, trying to hit carries as much as he can and keep the Cho'Gath from getting in. Through that, he does die. He's now 1-4, and yes, it's not the best scoreline for Swiffer, but in that moment, he absolutely achieved his function.
He's done his job for sure to set up the plays for the rest of Order's side, and you know, now they have some serious damage to contend with. They can set up a side push because Tally is going to be so hard for anyone to contend with.
Yeah. And honestly, Swiffer's probably just going to try and shockwave a single person, you know, be a part of the engage. Maybe Zac hits 4 and you hit a combo, but Tally's got enough magic damage, and they just need to keep Dream alive, really, if they want to keep their hopes in this game going.
That's very true. Now you can start seeing Order getting more and more map control here. That top tower finally gets finished off. That's the 3rd of the game for the Order side, and they'll start to rove through this jungle, getting map control. They feel like they might be able to fight in some of these chokes. Banshee's Veil does absorb the bubble, but that second bubble does land onto Spooks and Swiffer. A little bit of chunk damage, but not enough to determine.
At your face. No Warmogs for Spooks. He's actually gone for the stone plate. Kept him alive, you might add, in that last engage. However, the Warmogs means that he can still be poked down. This does mean that Order, right now you look at their wave priority, they're in one lane. This is their play.
They need to find more damage onto the tower. Respecting the bubbles, though. There's a lot of them. Shockwave used. It's sombreros.
3 cannons. They just need to keep the cannons alive, but they're wasting so much time and so many spells. Even if that shockwave hit, you can't help but feel like that would have achieved nothing.
Yeah. Order kind of run out of gas there.
And they didn't set up mid. They didn't set up massively bot. Of course, bot is pushing towards them, so it is still good for Order. But it's still going to be a point of focus. But they went for top as their one major play. If they didn't break it, now they can go for mid. But it took an extra 30 seconds. You know, set up the wave, set up the control.
Maybe not the most optimal use of the Baron buff, but they're still getting things that they want, absolutely. And they sent Tally once more off to the side. He's actually going to be stealing away a bit of Babbitt's jungle in the meantime while he waits for the wave to get into a position he can start pushing it.
Well, he's waiting for his team to be in a position to help, and they're not actually in a position to help at all. They're going towards the dragon.
And everyone from Mammoth is here in the bot side. They do take a dragon. It looks like it's another mountain, so the siege potential gets better and better. And now this might be the first time this series will be into Elder territory.
And for me, you know, Ijin mentioned this on the couch, bot lane is going to be a place of focus, a place that you have to look towards, because they seem to be the most volatile area on Summoner's Rift in this best of 5 series. Well, we have a 6-0 for Xayah, and that doesn't mean that King is a pushover by any means, because we've actually just got 2 monstrously large AD carries that are going to be running around on Summoner's Rift. However, one of them is close to 4 items, where the other is close to, actually,
4 items.
If that's an Infinity Edge done soon, That's not far off. King's going to be huge. He can shred backlines as well.
We've talked up Dream so much this series because he has really delivered, especially up in the face of King and Destiny. But King has not looked bad by any means, and he's basically been responsible for some of those fights that went even despite a numbers disadvantage.
Oh, King's been playing final series, to be honest. He's been the focal point of a lot of Order's early games, and you know, in the first game, teamfights, he was trying to deal as much damage as he could. It's just that he didn't have the ability to do so, as how far behind all of his team was. In this game, he has the capabilities to kill everyone. And he's not building to just kill a Zac. He's actually building a full crit build, most likely from this point. We'll be getting into the back line, and if he could find Dream, he could probably one-hit Dream. But they'll one-hit each other. And that's why this is so spicy.
Yeah. Until the Guardian Angels come in. Then they'll one-hit each other, and then they'll have to one-hit each other. Again.
And it's on. The Infinity Edge is now done.
All right. So the difference between these two right now is basically components of a Bloodthirster.
It's minimal right now, until the item is done.
Well, definitely going to be a lot of damage between the two of them, though.
Both mid laners also having a rough game, you'd say, in comparison. This is, across the board, a fairly even showing.
I think, as you pointed out, though, like that's fine if you're Swiffer because his ultimate is going to be utility more than anything. If you can land it on one for the engage, or you can set up the big, like, 4-man, 5-man.
The reason that it's utility more than anything, though, Pyra, is because Tally is on the map, and he is actually just so big.
Yeah. But it looks like he moves super slow because his frame is just so much bigger.
Yeah, he's waddling at a giant speed.
Got giant syndrome.
But if he is there, then absolutely what I said still stands true, and that the shockwave simply just needs to exist. He doesn't even really need to hit it.
Yeah, Order can 4-1 this. They've got 2 Mountain Drakes to do it.
And that's the one place on the map that really is different. You know, we can go across the board and say all playing pretty well or playing pretty rough in unison, but top lane, a big difference.
Tally rejoins the team into the mid. And they knock down another one. So for Order, it's just kind of like Demolition Derby, just slow march. And they have got a giant man with 2 chains wandering around the map.
And it ain't LeBlanc.
No, it ain't. Bloodthirster completed now for Dream. He's into 4-item territory.
This is just tense.
Yeah, it is, because nobody wants to pull the trigger. The Baron's going to be the big play. It just spawns.
Baron could be the deciding factor. There is no Elder Dragon for a little while, but with it up in 1:44, it will be.
This is in full vision. There's a ward in the back of the pit. There's
Teleport
also
in.
It's happening already, but it's down to 4,000. Can they get in there for the steal in time? The flag, the drag! It doesn't happen! Spooks is right with the smite! And Mammoth tried to turn the fight. Let's see if they can make it happen. The hop in, the ball delivery, Tally with the cutoff King. He steps in behind, keeps himself alive. Babip is trying to interrupt. There's a big shutdown, though, as King does fall to the likes of Tally, and Babip finds himself alone with no friends. Tally is so huge, and he's not going down until finally by Triple shuts him out of this one. It's a 1-for-2 trade, and Order still on the offensive.
The Dream's still at full HP, and that's all that matters for Order. They will push forwards here, and as a minimum, this will be an inhibitor. They may try and end. They may just go 2 inhibs, and we will soon see.
There's the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Triple turning back around with the Paddle Star. Not going to happen. It's going to be inhib number 1, broken open, and Order.
They're hunting.
Trying to put this one in one-game territory. Dream on the front line, the hop into the back, and that Zac ult doesn't go anywhere, but he doesn't really have to at this point. They can just keep the siege going.
And they will continue to push. They need to just go bot lane, waiting for the minions to get there. They've got the Baron buff, so 2 inhibitors will be the state of the map right now, an advantage for Order. They try and threaten the end. You can see the damage the Dream was dealing, but they'll play it safe.
Elder Dragon going to be spawning soon as well. Mammoth have to scramble, try and get themselves into a position. Tally's about to respawn with teleport up and available.
And mid lane doesn't matter. If the inhibitor's gone down in mid, as long as King is here killing the wave, it's instantly dead. Right now he's going back. They're trying to reset one last time before Order can sprint to the objective itself. Get those last items on. It's going to be a do-or-die moment.
Yep, this is going to be it. If Mammoth can pull off a miracle of a fight, they can maybe snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Jake checks with the Dark Binding, ball placed in a position here, and Babip is going to get the jump on the Scuttle Crab, actually securing vision in favor of Mammoth.
Super important for him as well to do that.
That's huge. Order's just going to start this. And look at how much damage they actually do to it. It's 2 Mountain Dragons. Spooks isn't even in the pit. They're ready to turn this fight. And they're looking for King. He immediately flashes back and away. And all of a sudden, the Elder Dragon has been forgotten. His Order look to take the fight on. They get the root onto the Cho'Gath, but he is a beefy boy. Tally holding the rest of the team at bay. They turn around to take the Elder Dragon. And Order are so huge in this game. 5-man unit coming through. Mammoth flags. He drags. He gets into the pit of the Wolf camp, but they take him down. It's a spear in the back of the head. And with Dream getting a legendary kill, you got to think this is GG.
That should just be game, surely. Mammoth, any ability to defend comes in from pure heroics, but there's a Silas and a Zac that'll be staring them down. It should just be game over. King will try.
Can he save the day? Triple taking so much damage and taken out of this fight, and Shockwave not going to happen. Doesn't really matter. King doing a great job at just trying to keep him at bay, but they just delete him off the map anyways, and that is going to be it. Lights out. 2-1 up for Order, and with the Nexus falling, they are on match point.
And what a game from Order again. What a series from them compared to the regular season. They have truly shown up to the plate. Swiffer puts his hand through his hair and says, thank you so much for carrying me across the line in that one. And what a carry from Dream. What a big game from the AD carry of Order.
Yeah, the new bot laner coming in this year onto the Order lineup alongside Jake. And, you know, we talked about how Jake has had some stellar performances, especially that game 1 on Rakan. But Dream is an absolute monster.
We know he's hungry. We know he's a driven player. But when it comes to crunch time, put him in the Gauntlet. You don't expect to see a legendary performance like that coming out of him.
And on the Xayah, I mean, he just looks in his element right now.
He certainly does. I mean, Order across the board feeling very confident. They're the ones that change up the draft a little bit. The Zac looks fantastic from Spooks. And while the combo wasn't there with the mid laner, the Zac was still fantastic from Spooks. And that was all that mattered. He got all the smite steals. He did it against the Cho'Gath as well. Like, this wasn't the easiest game for him, but every single objective that he went for, when it was his objective that he started, he wasn't stealing, he got.
And Tally, for his part, you know, pilots the Silas to great effect. This time, he's the one who gets it. He also kind of has a great set of ults to steal because Tapoon kind of counterpicks himself.
With a Cho'Gath into it, yeah. I mean, maybe the matchup's fine, but it was still the choice he made. Look, at the end of the day, my problem right now is that they are giving Silas every single game to Order. I just think that Silas is too strong, too flexible, and no matter what champion you pick against it, he has an answer because he steals your ultimate.
Yeah, well, it's 2 new champions that keep getting banned away. It's the Kayle, the Hecarim that clearly Mammoth are afraid of or don't want to give over. But they've also been forced into the Rakan ban situation because of how well Jake played that and how well the Xayah is working out for Dream. So it seems like there's not a lot of good options unless you want to give up some of those other power picks.
I feel like, and I'm not going to say it's stubbornness from Mammoth at all, but perhaps they are just so afraid of those 2 picks that they don't want to throw a Gauntlet, but now is the must-do moment because I think you get rid of the Silas and you change it up.
Well, we'll see if it ends up happening. I mean, right now, things are starting to look pretty good for Order. They had a rough ride in the regular split, but they really picked it up towards the end there, and now they're 2-1 up. They could be very well punching their ticket out to this next game.
Yeah, they're in a very comfortable position, Order, with this one. Momentum, mainly, actually belonging to them. Mammoth, constant back-and-forth games, absolutely, but when you're at set point, all the balls are in your court, you're ready to go, and you just need to hit that one home. Mammoth have to change it up, and we'll have to see where they go.
All right, well, we've got at least one more game to go. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and take a quick break for Macca's.
We don't believe in labels at Macca's, like dinner or breakfast.